Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If things sound different, I'm in my quasi-permanent Southern Command, at least for the next year. That's how long my lease is. Anyway, sorry I missed Tuesday, but we're here in the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. I decided to do a torpedo build version of the Pan-Asian Tier 8 Premium Destroyer Lushun. So we're in the Lushun. The battle is starting. It's a domination match, which we like. I think we might be on maybe the Atlantic or Greece. I'm going to go with the Atlantic before we look at the teams. And I may have totally forgot. All right, it was Greece. All right, we're top tier. And I need my reading goggles. But we're off in the Lushun. I wanted to see if the Lushun was just as dominating a torpedo boat as it was a gunboat. Now, if you're vaguely familiar with this game, which I'm sure most of my 500 plus subscribers, thank you very much, are, one of the most overpowered commanders in the game, or one of the best commanders in the game, is the Pan-Asian destroyer commander. I think his name is Ding Rushang. No, it's not Ding Rushang. That's the base commander. It's not Sajen Bing. That's the gunboat commander. It's the third commander, whose name I am not remembering, but I think it starts with a D. It's like Ding Xiaobing or something like that. Anyway, let me look that up on WoW's builds. But we are using that commander to do a torpedo build. And the reason why he is so powerful, as I finally break into WoW's Builds Legends to look at the commander name. Hello, Internet? Can you help a brother out here? The reason why he's so powerful is that because his base trait is a concealment reduction and also includes a buff to torpedo damage. And Deng Shichang, that's the guy. Anyway, Deng gives you a base trait which, when fully maxed, reduces your detectability by 3%, increases your torpedo damage by 3%. You also have your choice of Fragile Threat or Look at Me Now. And then you can add as inspirations Jerzy Swirsky, minus 4%, and Eric Bay, minus 4%. So in theory, some of the strongest concealment in the game. Now, I want to say there's a German commander who in his fourth throw has concealment skill. So maybe that guy can also get his destroyers very concealed. But the difference is that German destroyers are a lot bigger at the higher tiers. And they are not as concealable as Pan-Asian ships, which we're finding out many of them are reskinned American ships that were given to China back before they became the mortal enemy of America. We took their Chinese food, and then we said, we hate you now, at least as long as you're a commie. Anyway, judicious use of torpedoes. There is the First Blood Medal, kill number 1, and there's a Friesland out there. Now, the Friesland could get closer and could do the old smoke sonar trick on me, but I feel very confident because we've got some really nice guns in this ship, and we don't need to worry about it because he just got killed. All right, clearly I watched the match before I started doing this voiceover. Not. All right. So we're going to hang out in our smoke screen. I'm really not worried about the carrier. I think we have acceptable AA. So we're just going to hang out and get the space cap. And as you can see, I've thrown caution to the wind. Spotting is more important than my health. So I moved out of my smoke screen because the destroyers are dead. Mental note to destroyer players. Smoke screens attract torpedoes. Sometimes I've even set smoke screens as a diversion and then moved off somewhere else. And sometimes the enemy team is focused on the smoke screen and not paying attention to other stuff. So that's always a tactic you can employ here in the game. Here I'm deciding to go around the island before scouting up ahead. We do get a solo base cap. There are HE bombers in the sky. We are just making our way. There is a 7 provinces. His airstrike really isn't going to pose a threat to us, mostly because we are too maneuverable by the time his airstrike made it to where we were at. If he even spotted us, which he probably won't, we could avoid those little cluster bombs and get out of the way. You can see on the minimap the shadow of the carrier is in the back middle of the map, and I think I am going to head that way in Lushun. You can see we're okay fast, but we're not super fast. Just on the edge of 40 knots here, going 39.6. We do not have a speed boost available to us with this build. So sub 40 knots, not great, but at least it's not 34 knots or 36 knots, so I won't complain. I'm trying to get my teammates to shoot 7 provinces because although we talked about how his airstrike means nothing to me, he does pose a threat with his detection capabilities and his guns. So if you're a battleship player and you want to help your destroyer out, kill cruisers. It is that simple. A good destroyer commander should be able to fight other destroyers 1v1 and kill battleships with torps or by burning them down. So if you want to help a destroyer player, kill the cruisers. And then try to keep the other destroyers distracted or at least throw in some HE spam on them once in a while. All right, we launched out on Lexington. I do have to worry about the HE bombs of Lexington. He has discovered me again, so we're turning, albeit not tremendously hard, but we are turning to avoid. We are getting a couple planes shot down. My deep water torpedoes are wending their way towards the hulk of the Lexington, and we're also spotting him. And he did get a hit there, but it didn't do a ton of damage. Meanwhile, we've got 2 deep water torpedoes on board, hoping for a 3rd and maybe a 4th. That won't be enough to kill him, but he just took some damage, so maybe it will be. And it is. I think we had a total of 4 torpedo strikes, our 2nd kill. We are now up to 60k damage. We do take a little bit more damage from the Lexington's HE bombs, but really not that much. And once that sortie is disposed of, I think he's got 1 more in the air, looks like, of HE bombers. He will cease to be an annoyance and a factor in this match. So we're just going to continue our turn. I want to say I think our AA rating is about 60. So we've shot down 5 airplanes. He actually flew those airplanes around me. So I think he was giving my AA a pretty wide berth. So keep that in mind. You are an effective anti-aircraft platform in the Lushun. Now I'm betting the enemy destroyer is out to our port side there, mid-port, kind of where my aiming indicator is at. There are only 2 ships left in the match right now on the enemy team. There goes some torpedoes. You can see the RDF indicator, which I've begged and pleaded many times wargaming. Make this just a little bit more visible with perhaps a device called a caret on top, C-A-R-E-T. It's a little up arrow that they have when you're typing. A little caret at the top of that arc would make it so much more visible, and just give that caret a little bit of a darker tone, because sometimes it's awfully hard to see this RDF indicator depending on what background is up on your screen. So please, for the love of God, and especially for those of us who are visibly impaired, comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act and make that RDF indicator just a little bit easier to see. All right, that is another spam political message. Nothing makes me angrier than spam messages on my phone. All right, speaking of angry, nothing makes me angry like a Mogador who's doing nothing. You can loaf off there in the distance, Mr. Mogador, but I don't have to like it. We are lighting him up. We already set 1 fire. He is not shooting at me at all. And I see his torps and immediately put on the brakes, partially. and then sped back up. We're going to thread the needle on his really weak torpedo attempt. He finally started shooting at me, but now he's down to half health. We are turning in because I have my rudder disabled, and I want to be able to dictate this engagement on my terms and not his. All right, rudder is back active, and he's dipsy-doing. We've got 2 turrets back on target and lighting them up again, and you can see these guns have pretty good ballistics. Even at 6 km, they start to get a little floaty after that. No problem doing damage. He takes some off-screen damage. He is trying to run away in a straight line to kind of mitigate, but at this point, he's not shooting at all. His torpedoes are easily dodged. And I guess I'm just going to wait for him to become visible again. I know I'm visible to him, but because he wasn't shooting, he went dark. And so I get these guns rotating so quickly that it does not matter which way I turn. He's going to get chewed up as soon as he's spotted again. And while we're doing that, we are heading towards Charlie, because my intent is to flip the Charlie cap as well. All right, some more really poorly aimed Torps come in. They never had a chance of hitting me. His best chance was right in the beginning when he saw me, but I was expecting Torps, so clearly those didn't have a chance either. In this scenario, if you are trying to get Torps out, good God. Sorry, more spam. That was on my work phone. In a scenario like this, when you're running away and a destroyer is chasing you and you're in a destroyer at low health, my advice is to torp around the corner of an island. And that way, at the very least, if the destroyer's cutting it close to the island to avoid torps, you might have a good chance of hitting him. Anyway, Mogador is dead. That is our 3rd kill, and that is the end of the match. Let me know in the comments if the acoustics are better here. I don't have anything on the wall, so it might be reverberating. All right, here we are on the victory screen. First blood medal, 73,703 total damage. 6 torpedo strikes, shot down 5 airplanes, 3 kills, and 1 solo base cap. So definitely not the base XP potential of our last game, which was 3,100, I think, in the initial Lushun video, maybe 31K. We ended up with 7,300 ship XP and 7,700 commander XP, 391K silver. Here we are at the top of the board, 2,677 base XP, 3 big kills. I feel confident in saying if you prefer torpedoes and you want to build the Lushun as a torpedo boat, you will not be doing yourself a disservice. I just think it is a stronger gunboat based on the destroyer that it's built on. All right, here in the upgrades, aiming system mod 1, propulsion mod 2, concealment system mod 1, and torpedo launchers mod 3. Oh, gee, thanks for that update, Ouija. All right, here in the loadout, 4 charges of the smoke generator. Don't know why I took my glasses off. 2 charges of sonar out to 5.4 km. 2 charges of the repair party. We were running the rear battle booster for movement speed and cooldown time, the Type 9 permanent camouflage, and the Lushun flag. 18,500 hit points with our build. You got those 2 twin 130 millimeter guns, 10.7 kilometer firing range, 1.9 second reload, 10-second turn time, HE shells 1,300 max damage, 5% fire chance, AP shells 2,000 max damage. Torpedoes, you got 2 quintuple tube launchers, reload 91.3 seconds, max damage 18,471. They have an 11 kilometer range at 69 knots. The detectability is just 800 meters. And that's really the best part about deep water torpedoes. They give the enemy really low reaction time. All right, AA defense, you can see your main battery is dual purpose and does count as AA. Longest reaching AA at 5.2 km. Your best AA is the 57 millimeter Type 66, which does 71 damage per second. Maneuverability, 39.7 knots. I think we're just a little bit slower than that in the game. 700 meter turning circle, 4.6 second rudder shift time. So you are not very maneuverable. Concealment, 4.9 on the surface, 2.8 from the air, 2.6 from a smokescreen. Here in the stats, well, not much change. We are beating that patootie in the Lushun because it's an overpowered ship, no matter which way you build it. Kill-death ratio in the Lushun, 1.5. Average damage per game, 68k. But clearly, as the gunboat, as you can see in our highest battle achievements, we really piled up the damage. So that's the way I would run with it. But if you want to build it as a torp boat, you're really not cutting yourself short, in my opinion, due to those deep water torps. Anyway, that's Lushun, folks. Like, comment, subscribe down below. See you next time.